Hey there, guys. I'm Yuri Snow,
Hey, I'm Yanni Snow.
and this is the first of our Y vlogs where we're going to talk to you about current game updates and we're going to give you our opinions on them. So, the first update we're going to talk about is the this week's One of a Kind quest. One of a Kind is a new Grandmaster quest that's been released, and it deals with the Dragon Riders. So, the rewards for the quest include the Dragon Rider Amulet, which is essentially similar stats to a Fury, although it does have a higher prayer bonus. So it's kind of useful if you don't want to use something as expensive as a Fury, or if you can't afford it. And the quest has relatively low requirements for a Grandmaster quest, so a lot more people than usual will be able to participate in it. And it's relatively fun to do. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's very story driven, and there's a fun amount of combat, not too much, so it's overbearing, but there's a good amount of combat in it. So the rewards from the quest, as I said, include the amulet. There's a essentially useless amount of experience. It's not very. It doesn't amount to very much. And if you completed Ritual of the Majorat, you can get an additional about 25k. But again, it's not really. It's not something that you would want to do the quest exclusively for in terms of XP. And it does allow you access to the Celestial Dragons. Celestial Dragons are found in a resource dungeon on Dragontooth Island. So a lot of people before the update were expecting Celestial Dragons to be. There's a lot of hype. They're expecting them to be very good charm droppers, very good XP per hour, and very good money. Unfortunately, none of these things are true. I camped them for about 2 hours. I don't have any footage to show on the channel. Unfortunately, it was ruined, but they're not very good for any of those categories. They're decent in all three, but you wouldn't find yourself doing them exclusively for any of those three things, or even for all three of them together. They are approximately 1.5 mil cash per hour with max stats and decent equipment. They're approximately 100 Crimson Charms per hour. And, oh, I just got a Primus there. They're um, approximately 250, maybe 300 range experience per hour because you can't really do anything besides range or you won't deal a whole lot of damage. Okay. So, again, Celestial Dragon's not really worth it. The next thing we want to talk about is. The next thing we want to talk about.
The 138 combat
Yes,
system.
sorry, the 138 combat system. So, for those of you who don't know, the old 138 maximum combat level has been added back to the beta. So you can expect that to be added back into the live game in the near future. Essentially, though, it is a little bit of improvement over the old 138 combat system. It takes the highest of your attack and strength averaged, your magic, and your ranged, and uses that along with Constitution, Summoning, and Prayer to determine your combat level. So it does take into account more of the combat skills than the current formula does, which is good. It gives a better indicator of the person's skill. Say if you're to do PvP with them or to do PVM with them, you have a better idea of how good they are and how efficient they are in combat. Um, the thing a lot of people are complaining about is that they want it to include all of the combat system, every combat level in your total combat level, every stat. They seem to recall the old 138 combat system as being like this. That wasn't the case though, as the old 138 combat system allowed you to have one magic and one ranged, and still be maxed out combat. So essentially, all it's doing is balancing it between all three combat styles. So yeah, that's my opinions on that. Yanni, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, well, I think that originally the 138 combat was a much better system than the level 200 combat system. I believe that it was very wrong for them to update the 138 combat system into the level 200 system because essentially the level 200 system was something that, I mean, in general, the combat system was something that really didn't need to be
Yeah,
updated.
and it wasn't very well received at all.
Yeah, and the overall feedback from it after the update was not good either. And there was plenty of other areas in the game that needed much more work and attention. that didn't receive it at the time because they were too busy updating a part of the game that really didn't need an update at all, and no one was really complaining about.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
them reversing this and changing the system back to what it was before, is a very good thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing.
But in the future, they should. It should also be a lesson that in the future they shouldn't do things like this ever again, because this will waste time for developers in developing newer content for in different areas and for different parts of the game that truly do need an update. For example, like the skills of agility and construction.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll talk about that in another video for sure. But
Yeah.
so essentially, there is a sort of recurring theme of cyclical updates. So much so as in
They add they add content into
they're adding content into the game and they're reversing the content, like the 138 combat level. And it seems to me, as with the legacy mode, as a step backwards of the EOC, where a lot of the people are just going to be playing on the original combat mode and entirely remove EOC from their game. So that's just one thing that you've got to watch, that we've got to watch out for as a community. Cyclical updates and just taking giant step backwards in development. I think the EOC was, although a lot of you may not agree with me, the EOC was a necessary and effective update, and we can't really be taking too much steps backwards in terms of the development of the game. Well, anyway, that was our opinions on recent updates, and if you guys have anything that you'd like us to talk about, or if you have an opinion that you'd like us to hear about anything we've discussed today, just leave it in the comments below. We'll get back to you. We'll read your comments for sure. And that's the end of the vlog for you. So, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.